Hey, how is everyone doing this evening? Let's bring you over here. Well, let me set you up here first. I just want to make you seasick for a second. I did discover something new last night that my family said if you put your phone on airplane mode, then while you're recording, nobody can call. So we're going to do that. So tonight what we have, really simple, going to take advantage of the nice weather outside. Hey sweetie, can you take the dog out to go to the bathroom really quick? Yeah. Levi's on a meeting with his Quidditch team. Yes, you heard me right. Our son plays on a Quidditch team for the university that he goes to. Okay, so where were we? Brent, Arden, thank you guys for watching. That's awesome. I hope you're enjoying it. And air biscuits across the floor. Okay. I pay attention, Arden. Okay, so what we've got going tonight's a beautiful night out. And we're going to move everything outside tonight. And we're going to grill everything out there. I have been told that you don't barbecue. Barbecue is what you eat, so you grill. That was new to me when we moved to South Carolina. Grill, barbecue, it was kind of interchangeable words, but here they take it a little more seriously. So what we're going to grill tonight is some Atlantic salmon, farm raised. That's going to be really simple. We are going to grill some Brussels sprouts because we have a lot of Brussels sprouts and we need to do something with them. We are going to reheat mashed potatoes that we had last night for the Cohocho Quinches, and that will be our dinner, maybe a little bit of salad to go with it. And then for myself and one other family member, we're going to be using the field roast veggie sausages because we don't eat meat. So what we're going to do first, wash our hands. People, it's a really simple thing. I've washed my hands so many times in the past few days, months, I can't even, it's ridiculous at this point. My hands are literally the cleanest they have ever been in my whole life. I don't know what could possibly be living on them at this point, but who knows? Okay, so let's get to the fun stuff. So let's start with, we're going to take our Brussels sprouts and rinse them off, give them a nice little washing. Okay, so what we're going to do for these, which is really simple, we're going to cut the little end off, just like we did the other day, and we are going to cut them in half, toss them in our pan, in our bowl over here, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with them. What we've got sitting out here that we're going to mix them with before we grill them is some balsamic vinaigrette that I made. In that balsamic vinaigrette is some mustard, some garlic, and then we're going to put some olive oil into it as well, and we're going to put some honey in there, just about a tablespoon. But it will definitely, what will take place is that as the Brussels sprouts are grilling, is that honey will kind of help caramelize and give it a nice little, a nice flavor that adds to it. So it's a different way to cook them. There's about 7,000 ways that you can cook Brussels sprouts. The only one that I don't prefer is the sticking them in boiling water and mushing them. Now, if you don't cut them in half before you put them on the skewers, you might want to blanch them for about 2 minutes just to get a little pre-cook going. But if you cut them in half, or if they're little ones, you don't have to cut them in half. Not a big deal. So It just helps the grilling process just a little bit more. So we're gonna cut all these in half unless they're little teeny tiny baby Brussels sprouts, missing their mummies and daddies. But they'll be good for us. So as everybody's kind of out there floating around doing their things right now, hopefully participating in social distancing, the importance there is to stay away from people, right? I can't wait to get back to some of the things that I did before this started. One of those is, for those of you who don't know, is that I coach soccer. I've been coaching soccer for a long time, and it's really, right now I retook over as all of my kids got older because I have coached their soccer teams. I've taken over for my youngest daughter's team, and all of those individuals I no longer get to participate with. So individuals like Tommy and Josh and Jason and Chris and Tommy and everybody that I just forgot, Brent, all the people that on the spur of the moment I can't remember names. Just simple things like before training session starts and being able to talk with some of the parents. It is something that is nice to be able to do. So all of our lives are disrupted. So that's one of those simple little things that in the grand scheme of things, could do without, you could do with. But it's something that's been a part of my family's life forever, and I really look forward to getting back to that normalcy. Who knows when it's going to take place at this time, but that's okay because we can still stay connected this way. Okay, so what we did is we're going to toss our Brussels sprouts with some olive oil. In this case, I've already got the balsamic vinaigrette made. So there's, again, this is a balsamic vinaigrette. There's a little mustard in there. There's some garlic in here. So we're going to take this and we're just going to drizzle this on the Brussels sprouts. And then we're going to take about a tablespoon of honey. I'm just going to get an actual spoon and scoop it out because it's way easier. Honey, by the way, if you have allergies, if you can get honey that's from the locale that you live, so it has to be honey that bees made where you live. If you can find that honey and just start incorporating it into your diet, whether it's in tea or whatever it might be, foods, or just a little spoonful of honey makes the medicine go down. Okay? But if you start using a little bit of that every day, according to great folklore, and you can research this online to see if there's any validity to it, but according to a lot of wives' tales, and I would definitely run with wives' tales because most of that information is knowledge that's been passed along that may or may not be researched, but you do it enough times, you start finding some truth in it. We're also going to sprinkle just a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt on our Brussels sprouts. But back to honey. Has to come from where you live. So those are all pollens. And if you start using that, maybe this won't work. This is the first time I've ever done this. Normally I just roast it, but my wife is so sick of smelling roasted garlic in the house that she asked if I would do it outside. So this is the first time for me. So we're going to skewer our Brussels sprouts. Oh, and by the way, I was realizing, if any of my kids are watching this, how often over the course of their lives they've been like, "No, Dad, you didn't say that." And I'm like, "No, I did say that. I just said it like 5 minutes ago." And I realized as I'm watching these videos to see like, okay, do I look like a complete buffoon or what's going on? Is I realize that I say things and I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't really actually say the things I'm meaning to say, and I've watched these videos, and I now see that I think I'm saying something, but I don't really actually say the thing I was meant to be saying. I say something different. So it's been kind of enlightening for myself to go, oh, okay, maybe sometimes I don't actually say the things that I think I'm saying for whatever reason, brain fart, thinking ahead, too many things on my mind. So children, I apologize. So we're just going to take all of our Brussels sprouts and we're going to skewer them. And hopefully you don't poke yourself and end up bleeding all over your Brussels sprouts. That would just be gross. So anyway, honey, if it's from the locale, you can't just go to the grocery store and buy any honey. It has to be honey that is from where you live. So if you live in Los Angeles, it has to be from the Los Angeles area. If you live in Arizona, it has to be from the area that you live in. If you live in Colorado. So you kind of get the point. So you can't just go and buy the generic honey that is in a little bear thing, because who knows where that honey actually, where those bees came from, where that pollen came from. So the process is that you are looking for honey that is pollinated in the area that you're in. Usually that's going to be, you'll find it in farmers markets, you will find it in, maybe the specialty section in your grocery store. It does tend to be a little bit more than normal honey, but if that's something that you battle in terms of allergies, it might be worth checking into, doing a little bit of research, seeing if, I don't know, Eric even knows what he's talking about. So one thing that you should always do, and I'm getting ready to give a lecture on this tonight, is that when you hear some information from somebody, don't automatically trust it. And I don't really care who that person is. I don't care if it's a politician. I don't care if it's your religious leader. I don't care if it's a teacher. People, we need to be researching things and validating that the things that we hear are actually true. And also another point is that because I do teach, people, opinions, unless it's going to be something like, I think that Brussels sprouts are the best vegetable ever. When it comes to most things in life, your opinion doesn't really matter. So if I was going to talk about electricity and how I think blah, 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 well, I'm not first even an electrician. I know that at this point in my life, this right here is still like magic. Like, who am I to give any actual valid thoughts on electricity and what we do with it, how it operates, a whole host of things. So I guess the gist of it is, do a little research. Find out for yourself. Does the person who I'm listening to, who I've put my faith in, that they might have some good ideas, is it valid? Is it sound? Is it logical? So do a little bit of research on your own and kind of question, does it line up with the rest of reality, and how might we, trying hard not to poke my fingers here, how can we take something and put a little bit more thought to it? And I think that this would be a really worthwhile time to do that. We have a lot of time on our hands. Some of us might not be happy about that because that means that we're not working right now. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, good and bad. I don't know if that means that I believe in fate, but I can tell you that I believe that everything comes at certain times in our lives for a reason. And I've discovered that the older that I get, that this seems to be able to make sense, and I can go back and look over time and see how something that in the moment I thought was so tragic, that when you look back on it years later, you can say, I can now see why that event took place, or what happened, and maybe why it happened. So maybe in the midst of something that we are going through, we might not be able to put our pulse on it, but I am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. There's just the way it is. And some people don't like that. Some people think that that's wishful thinking. Some people think that that's odd. And some people agree with me. At the end of the day, you know, it's kind of the two-sided decision between free will and determinism, in that by that meaning that, do we really have the free will to do anything, or is everything already predetermined in life? And so it's just a way to think about it, and these are the things that keep me up late at night as I kind of contemplate what's going on in the world around me. And I actually like it. I'm okay with a whole host of things. Okay, so here's what we've got going on. So we got our Brussels sprouts laid out there, ready to barbecue. We have some of our goodness in here. Could definitely, that should be good. Considering it's the first time I've ever made it, I don't know. But it does, at least initially, before I've even put it on the grill, it has a nice flavor to it. The balsamic vinegar, the mustard, the honey, the garlic, that all works really well together. A little bit of olive oil so we don't burn too much stuff while they're cooking. But that tastes really good together. Okay, oh, here's today's project. Maybe I'll show it to you tomorrow. So my daughter has it wrapped up right now, but she is making a tie-dye hoodie, I think is what it was. So she started that this morning. Okay, next, our salmon. And like I said, it's Atlantic salmon. In this case, it does have the skin on one side because I find that that is perfect for grilling, and I'll show you why. So what I do is drizzle just a little bit of olive oil on there. And let me find something to kind of brush that around with. So just kind of massage that oil in there. And then this is really simple for me. This is the way my family likes it. I always try and do it a different way, but it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, they just like salmon that has a little pepper and a little salt. And that's it. They don't want anything else on it, nothing fancy, it's that simple. Excuse me, the last thing we're gonna do, I do have Parmesan cheese here because after these have grilled, when we take them off, we're gonna sprinkle some Parmesan cheese on it. And then, last but not least, we're going to take our vegetarian sausages, and in this case they are smoked apple sage. So we're just going to take the casing off of it. We're just going to get 2 of these. I don't think we need more than 2 of them. Dinner is pretty filling tonight. So we'll take 2 of these, and I got extras of these when I was at the grocery store. These are nice because you can throw these in the freezer, and they have a pretty long shelf life as long as you keep them in the refrigerator if you don't want to put them in the freezer. So what we'll do, because we're going to use these for another recipe later in the week, I believe, which is going to be kind of a faux pot roast. And we'll be cooking a couple of different things for that, which is interesting because many years ago when I was the only vegetarian in the family, I made 2 different meals every single night. I made a meal for the family and then I made a meal for myself. As different individuals in the family have slowly become, I think the correct term is pescatarians, now I'm back to having to think about, okay, how do I get the, and we also have one full-on carnivore. But so how do I get all of these different things prepared that may take different times to cook? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go out and I'm going to turn the grill on, and then we'll get all this moved out there and then we'll grill. All right? Be right back. Might help if I have something to light the grill with. And we'll get it, there we go. We've got flames. Okay, we got that going. Won't take very long to get it toasty hot. We're preheating it right now. Then we drop it down to medium, and it's all gonna cook really quickly tonight. The salmon, really quick, I put it meat side down and grill it for 3 minutes. Very specific, at least for my family. And then flip it over, put it skin side down, because then the skin side can just kind of cook in charcoal. And it doesn't really matter if it gets burnt, because my family doesn't eat the skin side. And then cook that for 6 minutes. So 3 minutes on the flesh side, 6 minutes on the skin side, boom, it's done. The Brussels sprouts will take about 10 to 12 minutes, so we're right in this time zone. And our veggie sausage, which we're just gonna put on the top, that really doesn't take a lot of time to cook at all. You're really just kind of making sure you pay attention to it and roll it so you don't burn it, and you don't want to ridiculously dry it out. That is one of the drawbacks of using like a veggie sausage or something like that, because it does have a tendency to dry out a little quicker than other items. So we'll get those going in just a minute. I did want to throw a shout out once they get around to it. So Alex and your troop, you guys be safe doing whatever it is you're doing in Germany. I don't know how you're connected to the virus, if you guys are doing anything or if you guys are on lockdown, but hopefully this will bring a little smile to your face and you know, make you think about something other than maybe the food you're eating and what you're doing. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, and thinking about you guys, and then just in addition to that, just as far as military goes, really do appreciate your guys' self-sacrifice and everything that you do, no matter where you're positioned in the world, because that is pretty cool. Okay, grill's going. We got our Brussels sprouts, we got our salmon, we got our veggie sausage, and then we're going to warm up some mashed potatoes and that were left from last night, and we'll be good. And it's going to be that simple of a dinner tonight. It shouldn't take too long. So I think at this point right now it's taken 22 minutes, and that's because I laboriously take you through the mundane process of also cutting up Brussels sprouts. So let me go check. This is your moment of zen. You can just stare at my kitchen, and that's what we'll do. Okay, we should be good here. So let's take our video production team, called me, outside. We watched the, what was it, the AMC award show last night for country music. And yeah, it was kind of interesting to see people with their spouses recording them. And it was kind of a fascinating thing, because when you stop and think about it, my wife and I were talking, and they're talking about, you know, the isolation problems that we're all having. And I think a lot of us, I mean, there are some truly things that we need to consider, such as, like, you know, at this point, and I didn't even look today, I'm kind of trying to avoid all news agencies just for my own sanity. But the fact that there are roughly 10 million people who have lost their jobs, who knows what other ones that didn't apply for unemployment. So we have a lot of people across the United States and across the globe who are severely suffering right now. It could be economic, it could be a whole host of things. They're wondering, do I make a car payment? Do I buy food? Do I make my house payment? These are legitimate concerns that people have. And as we were watching this show with all of these country musicians, really what we kind of came to the conclusion of is that They are actually the ones who are having a hard time with this isolation because they're not used to that. They're used to being in front of thousands and thousands of enduring fans every single night. So I found it kind of an interesting juxtaposition as we were watching this process. All right, so enough blabbing for me. I'll get off of my high horse. Okay, from the other night, I realized that I didn't do a very good job of giving you a good, clear image of the grill. So I think we got it there. So I'm gonna set that right there, and then I'm gonna go in and grab the food, and I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. So, first things first. We're just gonna toss our Brussels sprouts. See that? Yes, you can. We're gonna toss these bad boys right here. Hear that nice little sizzle? Okay. We're gonna put those bad boys right there. Okay, for those of you who have never done this, these are hot. Okay? Don't forget that when you put it on, it wasn't over a hot flame yet. So when you go to turn them, you need one of these so that you can pick it up. So we're gonna leave those cook for about 5 or 6 minutes. Now what we're gonna do with our salmon, we're gonna take it and we're gonna put it flesh side down. We're just gonna leave that right there. And our veggie sausages, we're gonna set right there. And now the fun part. We're just sitting and watching this kind of do its thing, okay? See how quickly these have already marked? So the veggie sausages, you have to pay attention to those or you're gonna turn them into a brick of wood and it's going to be gross. So we don't wanna do that. We don't want, you know, gross veggie sausages. We want tasty veggie sausages. So you just want to mark the veggie sausages, and then what we're going to do is we're going to set these up here on the top rack so that they stay warm, but they're off of the direct fire. And yes, veggie sausage is real food. It might not be meat, but it is plant-based and it is real food, and it is very healthy for you. For some of you, you might need to cut back a little on some of your meat consumption because you don't, I think that what the average is suggested is that if you eat meat, you should have a portion that's about the size of a deck of playing cards. That's not very much. So you don't need 64 ounces of meat. That's not really healthy for you. Your body has to break all that down, and based on all the studies, yeah, that might not be the best thing for you. Okay? So, I forgot to set my timer. So we're gonna guess on, I'm gonna go put a timer on inside for the salmon for 3 minutes. So we got these going here. So see, we've already got, see the markings we're already getting here? Doesn't take much to mark these. If you put these on and walk off and pretend like they're meat sausages, you're gonna be in trouble really quickly, and then you'll just have some pieces of charcoal wood, basically. So we're just gonna set those up there. We're just gonna let those stay warm. We'll flip our Brussels sprouts about a minute or two after we flip our salmon onto the skin side, and then we'll let it cook for 6 minutes, and then at least for my family's preference, it will be perfect. Some of you who are watching this are probably thinking, oh my gosh, you're killing the salmon. Well, no, technically it's already dead, so I'm not actually killing it. But I am, hi, my daughter is recording me as I'm recording this. No? Oh, hey Arden, how are you? Good. I'm glad you guys finally connected. Okay, I got to get back to cooking and talking aimlessly to people who watch this show who are crazy. Okay. So, some people you might want to do your research before you throw the salmon on, because I know for a fact that my family likes salmon cooked a little bit more than what you might get if you went to a restaurant or something like that. So I know for a fact that my family prefers salmon that's a little more cooked, a little bit drier, a little more flaky. So that's what we're doing here. But this is just how we prepare it in our house. Or let me rephrase that, how I prepare it in our house. So, got our sausages, they're just staying warm. We got this. We could actually shut this for a minute. That'll help trap some of that heat in there and kind of convection. It'll be cooking a little on the top as well and cook through everything. So, hey, what's the timer at? 20 seconds. When it goes off, will you reset it for 6 minutes, por favor? Nope, there's nothing in there. It's just timing the salmon. Okay, so our timer should be getting ready to go off for its 3-minute mark. So, just gonna go ahead and get this off. There's only a little bit of piece of meat on there, but that's what the olive oil helps with. So now we're gonna flip that over and just leave that. And that's gonna cook for about 6 minutes. So now we're gonna take our Brussels sprouts. And see, they're not quite cooked yet, so that's why we wanna leave them. Maybe I'll move this one over. Make sure we find like the right hot spot. Ooh, see, those are looking tasty. Okay, ooh, those are looking really good. Maybe we'll move those over here. Gotta pay attention to the size and consistency of each of the Brussels sprouts. You do want to try and put them size-wise together because they will cook at different rates. So, we got those going there. We're going to cook those for a little. I'm going to shut this so that we can then let it cook a little bit better. Okay. What a day. What a day. What a day. So, the thing that's beautiful about cooking on a grill is that as far as we can go back in human history, this is the start of, it's not the start of human civilization, but kind of a combination of fire and agriculture and raising animals that you would use for either work or for food or for byproducts like milk, eggs, that sort of thing. So at this point in time when history, civilization kind of coalesces around, we're no longer going to be nomadic, we're going to stay in one place. But even then before that, fire for nomadic tribes was still the main structure of preparing food, even in a nomadic perspective. And so I love the idea, the stories of the fire keeper, the one person who, as they moved from location to location, that they kept the fire tenders with them, and imagine the responsibility that came with that. And so I love this idea of the fire keeper. Who was in charge of that? Because in many respects, that was the lifeline of the community. And so it's kind of a beautiful little idea. And I always wonder, like, in our communities, who are the keepers of the fire? Who are the ones who are safeguarding the community? Who are the ones who are safeguarding the ability to have sustenance? Who are the ones who are safeguarding the nourishment, the love, the courage, all the things that we need to build up society, to build up the next generation? And I love that idea because it's not just parents, even though parents play a huge role in that. It obviously extends to family. That could be your immediate family, parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, lions, tigers, bears, oh my. But then where does it go from there? When you start thinking about teachers, when you start thinking about the medical field, when you literally start incorporating every single person that's in society and the role that they play to maintain that society, that's a pretty powerful concept and a pretty powerful thought when you begin to think about it. That on some levels, while we may think that our role in maintaining society is pretty small, maybe nobody notices what we do. Maybe we're the ones that everybody kind of forgets about. But if we stopped doing what we were doing, what would happen to society? And so I think that's a pretty powerful idea when we begin to think about it and try and remember that we are a part of that basic structure. Okay, so as these begin to cook and you can see they're all nice and caramelized and really tasty, we're going to start lifting those off of the direct fire so that we can not totally torch them. We want them to be caramelized, we want them to be flavorful, but we don't want them to be completely burnt all the way through. That would be gross, not good. So, what's the timer on? 1 minute and 37 seconds, and then we will take all this inside and we will start putting it on a plate so that you can see what this looks like this evening. And if you get a chance to make it, hopefully it will be better than what I made. I gotta wonder if my neighbors they're pretty far away from our house, but you can still, the echoes that kind of carry, so I gotta wonder if my neighbors on each side of my house are listening to me thinking, oh my God, Eric has totally lost his marbles. He's standing out on his deck rambling like a fool. Maybe we should have an intervention for him or something. Okay. So we should be getting about close to our 6-minute mark. And here's our salmon. So you can see how it doesn't stick at all doing it this way because the skin you used as kind of a protective barrier. So you could throw that on there and you can just let it cook. And then when we take it in, they peel off the skin, but they eat the salmon. So we should be pretty good there. Okay, so let's see. We've got our different plates here. We don't want to mix salmon with that, with this, because we've got a lot of different, plates, a variety of plates that we have to make. So we'll put the salmon on one plate. There's our timer. Thank you very much, sweetie. Okay. So we've got our salmon there. You can turn that off if you want. Okay, we're going to get our sausages. We're going to get these on this plate, which in this case, vegetables can touch vegetables, not an issue there. So we're going to do that. Remember, these are hot. Don't grab them by your fingers or you will end up with blisters. It's really a basic process of conductive heat and how well heat transfers through metal. Don't test it out. It doesn't work out so well. I know because I've done it before. Not thinking, I grabbed it. Especially the ones that stick out of the barbecue so they're not actually directly over the flame. It's easy to forget that that part is getting hot as well. Okay, remember, don't forget to turn your grill off. Make sure you turn the gas off. Like I said before, nothing worse than leaving your gas wide open and the next time you come out to use it, it is empty because you have left it open. Okay, so let's take a couple of these in and I will get you resituated and we will look at this plate. Okay, so there we've got our salmon. Woo! Okay, and we've got our Brussels sprouts, which we will move these over here. And then we're going to take our Parmesan cheese. Brussels sprouts just came off of the oven. And we are going to sprinkle some Parmesan cheese onto our Brussels sprouts. Again, whatever Parmesan cheese you have. At the moment, I have this sort of Parmesan cheese. I'm going to take a wild guess that a slab of Parmesan cheese that you grated, that you sprinkled on there, would be way better. If you have that, go ahead and use it. I don't happen to have that right now, so it's not an option for me. Okay, so let's get this in. Put on a plate so everybody can see what it looks like, and we will go from there. Okay, our potatoes, all that we're doing with our potatoes is just warming those back up. So that would be the place for the microwave. I don't know how well potatoes do when you put them back on the stove and warm them up, but that would be an option as well. So what we're going to do, got our potatoes, our stove is not hot. So we're going to slide this off because I have to cut this into 2 portions for this evening because 2 people are eating salmon. These were some of the things that I had already purchased and were sitting in the freezer, and I had already cut them up into portions for both my wife and my daughter because they are the ones who eat fish. So I've already got those. We're already cut, ready to go in the freezer. So all I had to do was pull them out this morning, and not a big deal, totally taken care of. And how? Okay, we'll just use this, I guess. Okay, so we've got our salmon, and then is our, okay, it's cooled off. So we're just going to take our skewer and drop some of these onto the plate. And at the end of the day, after our time together, that is what your plate, that is what we will be having for dinner. So, we've got our grilled salmon, we've got our mashers, and we've got our Brussels sprouts. You could do that with any fish. It could be mahi-mahi, it could be tilapia, it could be swordfish. Doesn't really matter which one it is. This just happens to be what I'm cooking with tonight. So hopefully you enjoyed, and leave a comment if there's something that you liked or didn't like, and I definitely will get back with you. Peace.